All right, everybody. Today's a very special day. This is Ed Diaz, and guess what? I have a super special guest today. And this lady I have known for a long time. She's been in the game, as we say, in real estate for a very long time. Kind of one of those been there, done that kind of people. This is the guest. So if you're going to pay attention and take some notes, do it right now. Or grab your pen and paper because I have the pleasure of welcoming Stephanie Ahlberg of Sotheby's. Thank you so much for allowing me to interview you, Stephanie, because this is a treat for me and for everybody else. I promise you.
Well, thank you, Ed, for asking me. I really appreciate it.
How have you been with this
I,
sheltering in place?
yes, well, as we say, the new normal, and we all
Indeed.
have to deal with it as best we can.
Yeah, that's the right answer. And stay positive and limit, by the way, your amount of news. We want to
Definitely,
do that
definitely.
to keep emotional health. So again, like I mentioned before, I mean, you've been in the business a long time. You've seen a lot of cycles. This is unlike most things or anything that we've ever experienced in our life. So
Exactly.
tell me what your thoughts are as far as the real estate market here in the immediate Bay Area, because I know you cover, for the most part, you focus on Marin and San Francisco, mostly San Francisco, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So what are your thoughts? Is now a good time to just pause, retreat if you're a buyer or a seller? Or is it the opposite? Is it contrarian where now is a really great time to go out and buy and maybe sell your property because maybe it's at a high? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's an interesting time because, as you know, Ed, we are under orders not to have any open houses and not to show any occupied properties. So that makes the job of selling real estate a little tricky. On the other hand, we can show vacant properties after the clients have done a review of a Zoom video, and then we can make an appointment and go see it. So I've been getting this question from buyers lately, and my advice to them is if you see something you like, put in an offer, because there's going to be a lot less competition right now than after the markets open back up again. And once they open up, there's going to be a flood of buyers pouring back into the market who have taken a step back. And they may or may not be a bunch of new inventory, but right now we're not seeing the new inventory coming on because occupied homes can't even be shown. So I encourage buyers to continue looking, and if they see something they like, put in an offer on it. And why wait till you have more competition? It's my thought.
I totally agree with you because here's the thing is that let's unpack what you just said. The fact that there's houses out there that are occupied that cannot be shown is the definition of supply that is not on the markets. So
Right.
what's going to happen when this lifts? I mean, some people are saying a U-shaped recovery. I personally think that in real estate, we're going to probably see the next 2 to 7 really great years for several reasons. Number one is because of what I just mentioned. There's going to be more supply, and there's always been pent-up demand in
Right.
California. That's the reality. It's been like that ever since I remember, and I've been here, the majority of my life. The other part also is that I think people are going to really rethink where they put their money. We've seen the
Right.
volatility in the stock market has been
Yep.
so schizophrenic, so bipolar, up and down. 1 hour it's up to 1,000, the next hour it's down 2,000, and I think taking that emotional roller coaster takes a toll on people. Whereas real estate, number one, I don't know if people know this, but 84% of the Forbes 400, the 400 wealthiest people on the planet, have done it through real estate. So let's start with that little factoid. In case you land on Jeopardy, you can say hi to me, and you can give me credit for that one. Secondly, is if you think about real estate in general, number one, you get a capital gains exemption, right?
Right.
250,000 if you're single, 500,000 if you're married. You get the tax write-offs, right? And
Yep.
what other investment, we'll call it, some people don't think it's an investment, but I do. Can you sleep in it while
Yeah.
doing all those things, right?
You get to touch it. You get to touch
You
it.
get to touch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an emotional arrival, I call it, feeling to buying a home. When you buy a home, you feel kind of like you arrived. Instantly, you feel like you've gone up, whether it's an inch or a foot or 10 feet or a mile, you've gone up the social economic ladder.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And you know better than me, interest rates are fantastic right now. So that's another motivator for people to go ahead and buy, because if they wait, prices will probably go up, in my opinion, not down, and rates will probably
Absolutely.
go up. So you're going to
Ye-
pay more.
Yeah, it's the cost of waiting, right? Everything is an opportunity cost. And you're right. Look, the reality is that rates are artificially low. This isn't real. I don't know if you guys know
Right.
this or not. This is not real. It's called the Fed. The Fed has bought billions of dollars every month of bonds to artificially lower interest rates so that this economy does not collapse. Because here's the other part about real estate, it's a vital piece, if not the most important piece, to the economy.
Yeah.
People have to live somewhere, right? That's real estate. So whether you have a mortgage or not, you actually do have a mortgage, believe it or not. You're just paying somebody else's mortgage if you don't have your own, but most people have a mortgage, right? So to
Interesting.
that effect, I just think now you're right, Stephanie. Now's a great time. There's less competition, right? Less traffic on the roads, greater probability of being able to negotiate a better price.
Right.
I'm not saying it's going to drop 20% because that ain't going to happen in San Francisco. Not going to happen. Those of you who are waiting and trying to time that, good luck. And then the third piece is that rates, like you mentioned, are super, super low. Cost of funds is very, very low.
Yep.
So what are the opportunities out there for a buyer, Stephanie? Now that you mentioned that you can't even see a property if it's owner occupied, what are recommendations you're giving buyers right now?
Well, I mean, that's the tricky thing. Fortunately,
Yeah.
we are in the day and age where we have the internet, we have video. Agents are encouraged to do a Zoom video or a video Matterport of the properties so that people can see it. And what they've been doing, which I think is very clever to get around the no open houses, is they're doing virtual open houses. So they say, I will be at the property Sunday from 2 to 4. You can
Right.
Zoom to me and I'll show you whatever it is about the property that you want to see. And so buyers are just going to have to get used to some degree that new normal, that's going to be their introduction to the property, because if it is occupied, they will not be able to get to see it in person. But I've heard, I haven't done it, but I've heard people are selling homes where the buyer hasn't even physically stepped into it yet.
Yeah, and I tell you where I'm seeing most of that are investors buying houses
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
just looking at an ROI or a cap rate or, gross rent multipliers, whatever the case may be. They're just looking at ROI, right? So
right.
they don't really care what color the carpet is because they know
No,
they're going to pull it anyway, right? So it just
right.
depends on people's motivation. And of course, everybody's different, just like shoe sizes, everybody's situation and goals are different. What are you telling sellers these days?
Well, I wanted to say one thing about buyers, though, quickly.
Yes.
I some buyers who are, they like, I took a couple out on Sunday, and they loved one of the two homes we looked at, but they're hesitating because they're thinking, well,
Mm,
what else might be coming on when the market reopens
mm,
and sellers can show their home? So they're kind of going in a little bit in that what if category. And, it's hard to argue with that because you don't know what else might be coming on. But, that's why I try to tell them, though, if you do find something you like, bid on it because you don't have as much competition right now. With sellers, it's very tricky because, again, if it's not vacant, we can only do virtual showings.
yeah.
And that's hard. And technically, I'm not even supposed to go into a house if anybody else has been in it in the last 24 hours.
Wow.
So how do we even do a virtual tour of an occupied home?
Could
Take the
you
color
have
out.
a seller do their own tour?
Yes, yes, you could do that, definitely,
Yeah.
and
So that's one way.
then email it. But it's just it's a lot trickier right now than
Yeah.
I've ever seen selling real estate.
Yeah. And, I say to people who are saying, or buyers who are saying, well, what if I find something better? Let me tell you something. That grass is greener on the other side mentality is a slippery slope because there's always going to be something better. I
Right.
mean, let's be honest, right? So you're never going to be happy with anything you have, whether it's your car, your spouse. There's always something better, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
That's a slippery slope. You got to be very careful with that because in a capitalistic society, we have a tendency to overthink those kind of things.
Hmm.
There's always something better. It's the next best thing, they call it, right? But
Right.
if you look at statistics, it doesn't work. Market timers and the next best thing, folks, they're never happy because you're always thinking about the next best thing, right? So where are there pockets of opportunities, do you think? Are there certain places in, for example, San Francisco and or Marin that you feel are good places for buyers to kind of look at, where you're seeing maybe prices are more in line, maybe not a huge reduction, but maybe they're more in line with or properties that are higher priced somewhere else, still getting a massive premium?
It used to be that the southern part of the city was more cost effective,
Mm,
price attractive, and that has completely changed now with the boom of Silicon Valley,
yeah,
because so young people want to stay in the city because they want to go out at night, they want to have coffee with friends, etc. But they don't want to drive all the way across town from the marina before they even get to the peninsula. So that whole southern swath has gone crazy now. So I would say, it's really hard to find parts of the city that are not, active.
yeah,
Um, Maybe a little bit in the west part, maybe like more St. Francis Wood or Sunset, something like that, which is kind of neither here nor there. But it's not, there are no areas of the city, I think, right now that you can say, hey, you can get a heck of a deal in this
yeah. It's
part of,
cheap, right?
yeah,
Right.
there isn't anything.
And because of this COVID-19, do you think that's going to affect or negatively affect condominiums, because by the very nature of it, it's a high density living situation, right? Do you think there's going to
Right.
be people who are going to decide, you know what, time to sell my condo and go buy out in the sunset and buy a single family or go to Marin?
No, there might be. I haven't seen that yet. And I think that's partially because of the no showing occupied
Yeah,
properties.
yeah,
Um, that will be interesting, Ed, to watch when everything opens back up again and see if we see a lot more densely populated properties coming on the market.
yeah. I have a strange suspicion that that's going to be the case with
Could
a
be.
good number of people, because think about it right now. If you're in a condo right now,
Right.
getting in an elevator, going downstairs to get your car,
Yep.
right? Ooh, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
That 6 foot distance, you're going to be violating it, not because you want to, but because you have to,
Right.
more than you would ever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Good.
Stephanie, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, since I'm sheltering in place now, it's best to call my cell phone, which
Excellent.
is 415-271-5117. And you can
Excellent.
always reach me on my cell.
Okay, excellent. So either call her or text her, and I highly recommend that you do that, because again, we're just scratching the surface. This was just an introductory so that you get to see somebody who's been doing this a long time, who really has forgotten more than we'll ever know, including me, who I've been doing this a long time. So thank you again so much. Have a great day and make sure to stay healthy. Always
Thanks,
a
Ed.
pleasure.
Me too.
Thank you.
All right.